All right.
This time I won't do it with a crazy bit.
That's funny, actually. We are doing it again.
Well, I don't know what I'm going to say. So,
Okay.
go ahead.
All right. My name is Melissa Gelanese,
And I'm Scott Russell.
and we're here for Let's Chat again
Let's chat. Let's talk.
because it's been so great. Why
It
do I
has.
keep changing it?
I don't know. Just why do you?
I keep making it more informal.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
chat. Let's
it kind of
chat.
is a chat, really, isn't it? And I think
It's good.
it's been. No, it has. Been
Yeah.
a good time. And I think I put a video up today from. What was it? Vera Shriver? Shriver?
Yes.
Did you see that?
No, I haven't
Yeah.
seen the video, but do tell me about it. I know who you mean.
So, independent journalism's there in New York,
Yeah.
and they were interviewing her, and she's talking about our freedom and how important it is that we don't give away our freedom of our children. And
Yeah.
so, if you haven't seen that video, I recommend you jump on there and have a look.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
see
Definitely.
how it goes. But,
Yeah, that's pressing.
got a few things on your mind today,
Yeah,
haven't you?
well, you
So-
know what? It takes me a week, and like I acknowledged and admitted last week, I do spend a lot of hours on social media and Telegram and all those channels because obviously it's of major importance with everything going on, and I like to listen to everybody who's on the side of truth. I think. There's no point splitting hairs on opinions underneath that banner. If somebody's a leader in the freedom movement, I want to know what they're saying.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter about all their other opinions or what they do or everything else. If they're on this right side, I want to sort of hear about it. So I do spend a lot of hours looking at that sort of thing and sharing the information. And
Yeah, you sent me an hour-long video, like down the rabbit hole. I was like.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
like lots
Yeah.
of people send videos to me. I can't say I've ever watched one.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you watch any of that? You watched a little
I
bit of
watched
it and then
it.
gave me a lecture
I
about
did.
slipping down the dark rabbit holes.
I did. I watched a little bit enough to know, like, oh, okay, I know what they're
Oh,
talking
she's
about.
gone there. Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
so I was
right.
going to acknowledge that and admit that I did spend some of this week. Look, I let my intuition follow me. I think a lot of people are actually going, whether you call it my pixie dust, you call it God, I call it my intuition, but it probably is God or a higher force, but
Yeah.
we'll let that go. No point splitting hairs, as I said. But I like to use my intuition and let the direction unfold where it's meant to. And I think I feel blessed that we can do this in an informal setting
absolutely,
and really deconstruct basically what other people are saying.
Yeah.
And other people that we respect in the truth movement as well,
Yeah.
Yeah, so despite going down the dark rabbit holes...
Well, you came out again.
Yeah. So I watched... The problem is I watched a documentary which disturbed me a little bit, which I have seen, little pieces of it before. It was to do with David Crowley. He created... He's an ex-American soldier.
Yep.
And created a movie that was set to make the silver screen called Grey State. And I did see the trailer of it a while back, and that was enough for me. But then when I watched the whole documentary, it slipped me back into the, oh my gosh, what if things get there? What if blah, blah, blah? And I just, okay, back out that rabbit hole, lift your vibe again.
Yeah, well, you sent it to me, and I'm like, I know you well enough to know that's not really the space you live in.
It's not.
So it was kind of
but
I saw enough of it to know what it was about.
Yeah.
Just so I could get myself out in case you asked the question if I'd watched it.
Yeah. But you know what I think? Despite venturing in and then getting back out, God forbid any of us stay in those, there's credibility in all of that. And I think that sometimes we just need to, we're human beings with the God-given ability to critical think.
Yep.
This is what's being talked about a lot in this movement. So what we need to be able to do is, find all those bits of information and deconstruct it on our own merit and work out what's right, what's wrong. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole today necessarily because I don't want this to be
you're telling me
censored
shut
so
up 'cause
heavily.
you know what I was going to say.
No, I'm talking about the David Crowley thing.
Oh, yeah.
You do your own research for anyone who doesn't actually know what that's about. It's pretty heavy.
Which kind of raises a good thing.
Yeah.
We mentioned accountability.
Yes,
of some
it's
of these
the hour of
people.
accountability. This is where I feel like today is going.
It's funny, I was talking about it in the car with...
You're going to go
with the-
soft
with
on
the-
it, aren't
with
you?
the kids.
Sorry.
I'm not a woman. No, I get it.
Yeah.
I think they're not... I don't think we're ever really going to see it to the degree we'd all like to see it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, they're all ducking for cover.
Yeah.
Aren't they?
I can see that. That's
So-
why I think there will be a massive hour of...
Somebody told me today
Accountability.
that... Oh, it was on the group, on one of these groups that you follow, that
Yeah.
apparently something about mandates still being here.
Yeah.
And Ines was talking to me. Ines is a friend of ours, and she's saying, "Oh, it's terrible. The mandates are still there." And I said, "Yeah, but they can't back up. If they back up,
Yeah.
they're admitting they're wrong,
They're acknowledging.
and they can never admit they're wrong. So they've
Yeah.
got to go in harder.
Yeah.
And when you go in harder, eventually most of them will just disappear. You'll never
Yeah,
hear
yeah.
another word from them. And
Yeah.
I think that's where it's going. But I mean, as far as accountability on your part, you want to see them all go to jail, right?
I want to see accountability to them. Yeah. Them take accountability for everything that they've
and
done.
How do you envisage that happening?
Oh, where do we start? That's a whole other rabbit hole.
I just can't see a pathway to it. We've come this far. Okay, I think the people
I think
down the
law
line are going
will-
to get hung. People
yeah.
down the line will get
Yeah.
hung. But the top dogs, they'll never get hung.
I think we've been given our constitution and Bill of Rights and everything, depending on what country you're from.
Yeah.
You know, that's been put in place from forefathers from, forever ago.
Yeah.
That's been put in place to bring the tyrants into line when they appear.
Yeah.
They're here. They're
But
here,
I don't know. I think the only country we're really going to see that in is the US. And even then,
But we did say there's a flow-on effect,
yeah,
from
there
US
is. That's
to-
true. But I think what will happen is the US will get some of the ones will get held accountable,
Yeah,
and it'll flow over here where all of a sudden the media will just be like, "Oh, well, it was America's fault,"
yeah,
and it'll all just go quiet here.
Yeah.
You're not going to see people get like hung here.
yeah.
not-
Oh, well,
I
I
don't
don't know
believe so.
about that. I don't know. I think we'll wait and see, because I think, everyone, like, it's that sense of urgency that we're talking about. I feel like everybody is moving towards this whole parallel of the Nazi times and really calling for Nuremberg too. And
Yeah.
I'm there too. I'm right there. That's where I am. I know your faith leads you to be a little bit more of the lines of, leave it in God's hands. And I feel
No.
like to some extent I do too, but I also believe in accountability and consequence.
No, I believe in accountability.
Yeah.
I'm also a realist.
Yeah.
And I don't think that we're going to see a lot of it.
Yeah.
I think and I think that desire for accountability in each and every one of us,
Yeah.
and that justice
Yeah.
that we want, it's how do you feed that? It never ends. Because
Yeah.
the people have lost lives, they've lost families, they've lost livelihoods.
Yeah.
I shared a little video today, a guy talking about 2022, there was something like 1,200 protests in 140 something countries.
Yeah.
It's like,
I love the way you're
Where's your
actually
Canada?
sharing all of that, because mainstream media is not that I watch it, I'm not a fan, but I know from what my family says and whatnot, the mainstream media aren't attacking anything of what's actually really
No.
going on. And I'm told it has like a 10%, watch rate, but yet here's all this stuff happening in the wings, so to speak.
Yeah.
The real media.
yeah.
So I'm so glad that you put up some of that.
So,
massive.
so the real media, they're the ones that have to be held accountable.
Right.
And
Yeah.
like the Brian Stetler from CNN,
Yeah.
he quit over there from all his filth in CNN
Yeah.
and turns up at the World Economic Forum.
Yeah, of course.
Being their spin doctor, basically.
Yep, yep.
It's like they're all covering each other's rear ends.
Absolutely.
I think the
one big
accountability,
club.
I think a lot of their accountability is going to come in themselves,
Yeah.
where they can't sleep at night.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to come in their children, when they watch their children suffer from the policies that they've put in.
Yeah.
When all of a sudden the light comes on and they realise, oh, gee, maybe I haven't been the smartest guy here.
Yeah.
And
Be interesting to
I
see
think
out of
that's where it'll
those.
come.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see out of those who actually has a conscience.
So I like this verse. It always gets to the Bible with me, right? But
Yeah.
there's this verse that says, be careful when you see your enemy basically going through what they deserve. Mm-hmm. In case, it's basically saying, don't gloat over it,
Yeah.
because God
turn.
might stop doing it and turn it on you instead.
Yeah, your turn.
And I think for me, I believe they will be held accountable, and if not in this earth, in the next.
Yeah. There definitely will be accountability, but I really want to see it on this planet, and soon. I think that's everything that I'm watching. You know, each week we've done this, there's always been a really specific theme that seems to come to me, and at the moment there's this sense of urgency for ramification and justice, and you know, it needs to happen. I can feel it all ramping up.
So I remember talking to this lady when this was all kicking in, and she was like, "No, you have to know what's going on." You know, she's all into the next thing.
Yeah.
And you have to know, you have to, and we've got to, and it all leads down that path of accountability. And I said, look, again, I think I don't want to know.
Yeah.
I mean, you do know, stuff comes up, but I don't want to make it my life.
Yeah.
Because it feeds on me, like we've talked about.
We've talked about the
And
feeding,
I think that desire for accountability, I absolutely would like to see some accountability with some of these people, but I don't give it much thought, because it's like, I'm not going to give it my energy.
Yeah.
Because if it doesn't happen, you're only going to get offended. If it does happen, you're going to be going, yeah, get them, man.
I think it comes down to, I know exactly what, and I go in and out of this. It's like waves, and I feel like a lot of people are actually going through that too, where they feel that, you know, they're on this roller coaster, and sometimes they're at that point, and other times they're like, no, I'm fighting for justice. And I think, to me, the only way that this is going to be resolved, unless there's a sudden step in from powers that be, is if actually our humankind stands up united and actually fights, but properly. United. This is what it calls for.
Yeah, but we've watched that in the freedom movements.
There have been waves made, though. They are scared.
Yeah, it's true. But as soon as it rises up and everybody starts coming together, then it becomes dogs urinating on trees, right? Yeah. Some guys suddenly like, that's my territory. I'm the guy in charge of this. I'm the one, and it all falls apart.
For lack of a better phrase, it's a peeing contest, right? Where there's territory.
And I think a lot of the, I do think the authorities have stuck in their secret services. In Australia, it's ASIO. In the US, it's the FBI. Like you just saw with the videos of the January 6th. You know, they got caught out. It's all on video. They're escorting the guy around.
And it's like,
no, don't believe that.
Yeah.
They're trying to...
He was meant to be like an absolute ringleader.
Yeah.
And here he was being ushered in throughout.
Escorted around the room. I know.
Like a tour of the White House.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and then there's the politician that I saw today. I can't remember his name, and it's probably not worthy of merit, but he was, you know, saying that it should be, on all accounts, for democracy of the country, it should be hidden. All this video footage that's actually showing the truth to us all is, you know, he's asking for it to be censored and hidden.
Where's justice? Well, we had it here in Australia. They had a royal commission, which is like a big inquiry, Senate inquiry type thing into pedophiles in our authorities, and what they have, 28 names they came up with, right?
Of course, yeah.
Of high up officials, going up as high as some say the Prime Minister here. And the judge put a 100-year suppression order on it. So where's the justice? So they say the justice is okay, we've identified who these men are, and then they all take care of each other and hush it up. Yeah. So that nobody's held accountable.
No.
What about the victims?
I know.
And they've done that's what we're going to see with this.
On the disguise and the merit of you know, stating that people will lose their confidence in the justice system.
And they'll do the same thing here. When they try to come with justice, people...
That's why they're losing their faith in the justice system, because of things like that. That is a pinnacle example of why.
And they'll do it with COVID. Eventually they'll come up with, if somebody's got to get hung, they'll get some lesser guy down the line they don't like, and they'll hang him. But the rest of them, they'll do anything to keep their power, anything. Yeah. And the only way it ends is when you get a righteous man that comes into leadership and says, I'm putting a stop to this. You're all going to jail. Yeah. We're starting to see a little bit in the US, the Republicans, just, you know, like with Fauci, saying, you know, eventually we're going to put you in jail, basically. We're coming for you. Yeah, yeah. And they will. Yeah. But here in countries like Australia, I'm not hearing any... There's some guys like Malcolm Roberts and, you know,
there's
One Nation
I think
Party.
There's 5 or 6 senators that I look and follow that are really, really amping it up in there and actually being a voice for the truth.
But they get shut down. They get mocked in there. Nobody wants to listen to them.
But they're standing up, though. They're still doing it. That's why I'm a stickler for being behind these people. And there's another one that I want to talk about a little bit later on that I think is deservative of us all standing behind with this. Well, we're not voting because we're up here, but the election in New South Wales, I think everyone needs to look at. With Ricardo Bossi and his crew, I think of about 5 or 6 that are going for a place in the Senate.
So the Australian crowd.
So they're going in there not to feed on the troughs, as he speaks of, but to completely dismantle it within 6 months and just shed a light on all the the disgusting pedophilia and the corruption in there. So they're being very, very forward. We spoke last week about not sugarcoating and talking truth as it is. So he's being really forthright about what they're going in to do.
I think the potential problem there is I don't believe we have free and fair elections anymore.
Yeah.
So I think
this is on my mind too.
To get him in there,
so
they're not going to relinquish that power. There's so many dirty tricks. It's going to take the people really demanding it, isn't it?
To be completely forceful of their rights.
Because
I know he's already gone through, I've watched a little bit of what they're saying, pre-election, and he's already gone through a lot of small, subtle corruption, with missing ballot papers and all sorts of stuff going on. Bits and pieces, making life difficult.
Every dirty trick.
Every little, even just leading up to that election, just everything.
So I think, again, I'm going to bring it back because I think we need to say this every week.
Yeah.
To keep your peace. It is important to fight. It's important to get in there, and it's important to do your part. But it's also important to know when you're hiding in that. Instead of actually dealing with the issues in your own life. And maybe some of us, not me, thank God, but some people might have lost a relative to the injection, or they've got something going on that's really affected. They lost your business or something, and
you can feel really affected in some way.
You can feel really defiled in that.
Yeah.
But it's so important to keep following that line of peace, keep following where's this going, keep following of taking care of yourself and those that you love.
As we talked about.
Because otherwise you get to the end of this, if there is an end, and you don't have a soul.
There'll be an end.
You don't have a soul. If you've fought so hard, you've given everything to it, you don't have love, you don't have life, you don't have a lover because they've all left you because it's like, man, that's one messed up guy or one messed up woman,
Yeah, it's a tiring fight, but I do remember, excuse the wind, I do remember listening to something from Ricardo this week actually, and he was talking about battle because his background is in the military. And he speaks very well, and he's had those leadership roles, and he knows what's going on at the back end. He knows, he has ins and knows all that sort of thing. But he was speaking about just the apathy of people. Similar to what we talked about last week with comfortable numbness. Just the apathy. And
I tell you what's really, I'm not going for the weather thing, but here in Australia the freedom movement was going great. We got floods. So all these freedom people voices took off to the floods, which was good, they needed to. And they helped the floods, and it's never really come back the same. New Zealand was gaining traction in its freedom movement. And they have we had 100-year floods here. They have 100-year floods there. And the freedom movement is all helping people in the floods. And I was like,
because they're
it's pretty coincidental. If people want to add to that, you can add to that. But I'm not going to go any further with that. But I'm just saying it is amazing the coincidences of the how that all happens.
Speaking of that, we went to it was a bit of a music festival on Saturday that was to commemorate the year of the floods in Lismore. So that was a year ago. I remember going there for a weekend. I went there to actually help clean up and everything, and it was I actually thought, when I drove into Lismore at that time, I drove in and I'd seen all the footage beforehand, but actually to drive in and see all the rubble and people just helping everybody and just it was like ants, just worker ants just going for it. I had to pull over, and I pulled over to collect myself because I was just like, I can't believe what I'm seeing. This time a year ago it was. And I was there, and there was a lot of discrepancy and argument about who was there helping out? And I've got to be honest, it was the people helping the people. I saw it myself.
It always is. It always is.
There wasn't those figures that
sad.
they say that were there. I saw that the SES had set up the day before I arrived, but it had already happened.
Emergency services for the foreigners.
Yeah, it had already, occurred a good week before even that happened. And, there were government political figures that had turned up for their little photo op and then helicoptered out.
So gaslighting. I mean, what do you think about all that going on? I mean, that's really what that is, right?
Yeah, there's plenty of that going on.
And what does someone do if they're getting gaslighted? What is that? What is that? I mean, open up.
Honestly, if somebody's gaslighting you, they're trying to preempt you or provoke you, and provoke a nerve that actually hurts to get you to erupt, so that then they can actually blame you for the reaction, as opposed to, their initial behaviour, basically. So it happens a lot in toxic relationships, and it's happening. It's happening exactly the same here. I actually watched. Funny enough, I was thinking, my mind's going on and moving on, but I watched something from Cafe Locked Out, Michael, who does from Melbourne. He does the interviews with people.
It's an Australian freedom fighter.
Yeah, it's such a good one to follow. Yeah. And expanding on what I said about my past last week with the Jehovah's Witnesses, funny enough, there was an actual interview with ex-Jehovah's Witness couple. You should watch it. And the similarities, I touched on it last week, but they really hammed in on, the similarities between being part of a cult and then the brainwashing that occurred with us all when this hit and the agenda.
I've come out of a religious background. It's all very similar. Very similar. It's nothing new under the sun.
No.
It's all the same.
It's exactly the same.
And
same
government is a religion. Football clubs are a religion. Sports are a religion. Everything's a religion if you want to make it a religion and follow the system of it, or you follow the freedom of your spirit. And we've talked about that a lot lately, about the freedom that's in you and how that's coming up, and you're starting to... We joke about it. I mean, she says, I don't know if I believe in God. And I'm like, she's like,
pixie
it's
dust.
The universe. And I'm like, oh, okay. So where's this consciousness come from then? Like pixie dust, is it?
Yeah.
And that's what the pixie
I know
dust
I do. From. Let's be clear. I know that I believe in the higher power.
So she's taught
God, however, I don't believe, not for 1 minute will I ever support religion.
No, me either. Yeah. Me either. But what's comical is she talks to God without saying it's God. Says, whoever you are, I won't say who you are up there. Could you help me with this? And boom, it happens.
Yeah.
And then you come here and say, I actually spoke to somebody up there today.
I asked for guidance and then this and this and this happened. It's so specific.
It's cool to watch. And I think that's what a lot of the people in the freedom movement
are experiencing. And
they all hate religion. They all hate that legalism of religion because it's the same as the government. It's so regimented into, you will do what we say or we will destroy you.
Tell you how to think. We will think for you. There's no such thing as critical thinking. That's gone by the wayside.
Yep.
They knock it out. When I think about my days as a J-dub, as I used to call it, I left at 16. But hey, you got to imagine, I'd already been through the door knocking experience from when I was really little, right up. Yeah. And it was quite embarrassing when you'd go door to door and find your friends from school. You're a big toughie at school, and then you turn up as a Jehovah's Witness at their door on the weekend, and it's quite mortifying because you haven't yet developed that sense of self either. Yeah. But it's crazy, the indoctrination that goes along
some young
with
fella
that.
at your school, you went and knocked on his door and he's like, God, you sent her to me.
No, that never happened.
That never
Sadly,
happened. That's good.
But I was talking about courage and that sort of thing. I was watching a interview this week with Stu Peters and Alex Jones, two Americans. You follow them?
I don't follow them, but I know who they are.
So from time to time their stuff comes up on my feeds. I love it.
I'm not like you. You just.
I'm constantly sharing. That's why this head is so full of all that stuff. But they touched on one thing I really want to emphasise today, and that's that courage is contagious. Yeah. Talking about the hour of making things happen. courage really is
When
contagious.
you get
Yeah.
courageous, those around you will.
Yeah. So
Now,
they
we-
spoke about, they spoke about so many things that have been happening. The truth about the labs being found in the Ukraine and a lot of things.
It's all coming out.
All the
It's
truth that's coming out. But, I wrote something down because I don't want to get this wrong with my verbal diarrhea.
Go
I've
ahead.
got to say what he
Go
said.
ahead.
Because we're talking about courage being contagious and
Yeah.
standing up, and it's time that, they're calling for Nuremberg too and the consequences.
But you know what's
the
going to
hour.
happen? I can tell you now. The Nuremberg 2, there's some poor soul that's sitting on a beach drinking his beer, and once upon a time he was working for the government somewhere, and all of a sudden he's going to be the guy. They'll grab
That may
some
happen.
random guy and it's like, you're the guy. And he's like, hey, what? Huh?
That may happen, but I feel like it's gone past that now. I feel like the truth is so obvious now, and so many people,
yeah.
the greater society, like people know the truth now, and they know who's responsible. So I really feel like it's going to actually, justice is going to, land in the laps of the right
I think
people.
more likely they will quietly retire and disappear off the public scene.
Yeah.
Some will get
Some already
roasted.
have.
Some will get roasted, yeah, but a lot of them are
There's
just going to
people that are
quietly
disappearing.
float off into oblivion. Like that one in the chief executive, what do you call it, the CEO of Google. I got a
Yeah.
laugh out of that. What did she do? Oh, I'm resigning to spend more time with my children.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so you've done the best job you can of stuffing our world up,
Yeah.
censoring everyone and everything.
Now you're out.
Now you can't walk into a shopping centre without
Like
somebody
Ardern.
yelling at you. Yeah, and so you're
like
like,
Ardern.
oh, now my kids, your kids, they'll
Yeah. Have we seen Fauci lately? I don't know. I haven't seen
I
much
haven't
of
seen
him
much
lately.
of him either. He's
Bit of a
he's
disappearing
crawled under a
act.
rock somewhere too. It's the same deal. He's
Yeah.
got a family.
Yeah.
And, these people are psychopaths, but they forget.
Yeah.
Their kids come home. I was at this shop today and I got into trouble.
Yeah. Crazy town.
Read your thing and we wind it
Oh,
up
look,
today.
I've got to wind things up because I've got to get to school pickup. But this is so relevant. He was fired up. Good old Stu Peters.
Yep.
I do follow him. He said, don't let anyone gaslight you into believing you are a right-winged extremist for suggesting that we should be upholding the rule of law.
Yeah.
And basically went into detail about, that's how our Constitution and our Bill of Rights were put in place
Yeah.
for when the tyrants arrive. And
Yep.
like he said, they're here. It's time.
Yeah, they're here,
It's
all
time
right.
to unite, and it's time to get on up and actually bring some justice.
If not now, then when?
Exactly. The time
Yeah.
is now.
So we're going to wind it up because Alyssa's got to
'Cause
go and
it's
pick up
windy.
her lovely daughter
We're at the beautiful Spit
a-
in Southport.
down in. I'll pan the camera. You can see
Yeah.
we're out on the water
Beautiful.
here and
Jet ski territory.
jet ski territory. So thanks for
We'll
joining
leave you
us.
with that. Courage is contagious. Far more contagious than that little virus thing that they're talking about.
It's true.
And we need to remember that.
I had a little thought this week, just as we finish.
Yeah.
We might lose a lot of what we've done, but we don't have to lose ourselves.
Yeah.
And I think we can win in
It's true.
ourselves when we're living in our peace in the middle of anything.
Yeah.
Keep living in your peace.
Very
God
true.
bless you.